As he rolled by, he could see this little path where this guide took, and he could see a lot clearer. And when he looked down that path, he saw a older gentleman. He was sitting in a wheelchair. This gentleman didn't have no legs, but he had tools in his hands. And he's out there in the middle of that grass and overgrown and area, and he's doing all he could do physically to take care of what he's dealing with, but he had no legs to walk. And that changed that man's perspective because he saw with a different uh, outlook of it. When he saw the clear picture, what he thought he was seeing was totally different than what he actually had saw. And it's like that with us a lot of times. We look at each other's lives, and it's easy for me to look at you and say, I wouldn't have done it like that. I would have did it like that, a different way, my way. Well, the thing is, we really never know what's in a person's heart. All we know is that what we could see with these natural eyes. And our eyes will deceive us. What we hear will deceive us. And it's better to just do our very best to be there for one another and not judge one another by circumstance or situations. Um, a good example of this is, we can look at a man and a woman, you know, on a Sunday morning come to church, and the man's fallen asleep, in the church, and he's a snoring. Everybody's turning around in disgust and being upset with that man. And his wife's got her hand over her face. She's embarrassed. And then, after church, the pastor comes up and scolds the man for falling asleep during the church service. And then he finds out later on why the man fell asleep. The man's working two jobs to supply for his family. He's working around 16 hours a day, two minimum wage jobs to buy groceries for his family, to take care of his newborn baby.